Let me ask you something. Have you ever picked up the Bible because you felt you had to, not because you actually wanted to? Yeah, it's a super common feeling. But what if you could change that? What if that sense of duty could turn into real, actual delight? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into how to do just that, using some wisdom that's, believe it or not, from way back in 1899.
For so many of us, the Bible can feel like this giant treasure chest, but man, it feels way too heavy to open. We know there's good stuff inside, but the effort just feels like a chore, right? Something we do to check a box rather than with any real, joyful expectation.
And this quote from a writer named Edward Powell just nails it. Over a century ago, he pointed out that you don't get real treasure with a half-hearted effort. It just doesn't work that way. If we approach the Bible with a yawn, we really shouldn't be surprised if we come away feeling, well, empty.
So, here's the game plan. We're going to follow Pell's roadmap. First, we'll tackle that whole duty versus joy thing. Then, we'll clear up some ideas about what the Bible isn't. After that, we'll learn how to get ready to actually receive its message. And finally, we'll get into how to make it all deeply personal.
Okay, first things first. Let's just clear the deck. A lot of the time, the reason we don't enjoy the Bible has almost nothing to do with the book itself. It has everything to do with the wrong ideas and the baggage we bring to it before we've even turned a single page.
And what's wild is that Pell called out these 4 big misunderstandings way back in 1899, and they are still so relevant today. We might see the Bible as a chest of dusty old relics, or a curiosity shop full of weird facts, or maybe just a good luck charm to stick on a shelf, or, just another piece of literature to analyze.
Pell argued we've got to throw out these fragmented views. He said, look, don't see it as a random jumble of quotes and stories. Instead, try to see the Bible as one single united word, one whole message with one purpose from one divine author. And honestly, that shift in perspective, it's the first huge step.
So, if the Bible isn't just a collection of old stuff or a piece of literature, how in the world should we approach it? Well, that brings us to our second big idea, the art of preparing to receive. This is where we stop being a passive reader and become an active, engaged recipient.
This, right here, is Pell's central idea, and it changes everything. He wants us to imagine we just got a personal letter from a father we love and respect deeply. If our heart is in that place of love and gratitude, we're not going to nitpick the grammar, right? No way. We're going to read it with joy, just excited to hear his voice. Pell says that's the spirit we should bring when we open the Bible.
But you can't just fake that feeling. I mean, think about it like this. An oyster is a real pain to open. Unless you are absolutely craving one, then it's worth the effort. Pell's point is that enjoyment always starts with appetite. We have to actually cultivate a real hunger for what the Bible offers before we can ever really enjoy it.
So how do we do that? How do we build that appetite and get our hearts ready? Well, Pell lays out these 4 beautifully simple steps. It's all about creating the right atmosphere. You find a quiet place. You quiet down all the noise in your own head. You turn your attention upward, and then, only then, do you open the book and listen.
And he makes this super practical. In fact, this piece of advice might just blow your mind. He said if you only have 10 minutes, you should spend 5 of those minutes, that's half the time, just getting ready. It's a pretty radical idea. The preparation isn't just the intro, it's literally half the work.
Okay, so we've cleared away some of the misconceptions. We've talked about preparing our hearts. Now for the last piece of the puzzle, actually making the words on the page personal, moving it out of our heads and into our hearts.
Pell saw a shift happening even in his day. The old way, as he put it, was all about reading for spiritual food, with a sense of reverence and trust. But the modern way was becoming more of an intellectual exercise. It was scholarly, analytical, and sometimes it was spiritually kind of shallow. He said we need to get back to that older, more heart-focused way of reading. And to explain this, he gives us another amazing metaphor. A lot of people treat the Bible like it's a garden. You just kind of stroll through, pick a pretty flower here, enjoy a nice view there. But Pell says no, the Bible is a mine. The real treasure, the good stuff, isn't lying on the surface. You've got to grab a pickaxe and be willing to dig for it.
So how do you start digging? Well, Pell compares it to getting all the fruit off a tree. You don't just grab the easy stuff. First, you shake the whole tree to get the big picture of a book. Then you go branch by branch for the chapters and twig by twig for the verses. And finally, you look under every single leaf for the individual words.
It's this really thorough deep dive approach.
But listen, all that shaking and all that digging, it is totally pointless if it doesn't lead you right here, to this one single ultimate question. Every chapter, every verse, every word, you have to ask, what does this mean for me? How does this apply to my life right now? That's what turns an ancient text into a living, breathing word.
So, let's wrap this all up. The path from duty to delight, it's not about some fancy new reading plan. It's about a whole new mindset. It's about reading with a real appetite, not just obligation. Seeing it as a personal letter, not a dusty relic. Taking the time to prepare your heart before you even open the book, and then being willing to dig for that treasure and make it your own.
And I'll just leave you with this one last thought, something Pell hints at all through his work. What if we have this whole thing backwards? What if the goal isn't just for us to read the Bible, but to allow the Bible to read us, to search our hearts, to shape our lives, and to connect us with its author? Just something to think about.